Hello and welcome to beautiful Thailand. My name is Bayan and you're watching AutoToday. And behind me are the two bikes that we are here to ride over the next 3 days. This is the 2023 Yamaha YZF R and that is the MT-03 that's making its debut in India for the first time in 2023. Now we are going to be riding these motorcycles over the next 3 days and we're going to come back and tell you exactly how much has changed with the R3 and what we can expect from the Yamaha MT-03. So without wasting any more time, let's jump into the design details and tell you exactly how much has changed on these two motorcycles. And we're talking about the design of these two motorcycles and of course the features and the kits that you get on it. Now the R3 has been around a while, but I really like the design language that Yamaha has picked up for their new super sports. It comes in line with the R6 and the R1 and I think it looks absolutely spectacular. It is a minimalist design theme, but in the rear view mirror, oh my god, if you can't tell between this and an R1, I will be very surprised. Now the MT-03 of course gets that Gundam Transformer inspired design language and it is called the dark side of Japan for a reason. I think it looks really cool. It looks like a larger version of the MT-15 and that makes it very cool in terms of its presence, and of course the fact that it aligns with the rest of the MT family also looks really cool. Now let's talk a little bit about the features and the spec of these two motorcycles really quickly. There is a lot of shared components. They both share the same frame, the same engine and most of the same cycle parts. So let's quickly run over the two motorcycles before we jump into our riding and figure out how these two motorcycles are to ride. Now talking about the kit on these two motorcycles, you get all LED lighting on both ends, LED indicators, LED headlamps and LED DRLs, and the projection from them is more than enough. But where they fall short is in terms of features, like you still get a black and white TFT, which is pretty basic considering the rest of the competition. You don't get adjustable levers on either end. The switch gear is very premium and feels nice to touch and is nicely damped. There is a 17-litre fuel tank on both motorcycles. You get a 298mm disc up front and a 230mm disc at the back. They're both connected by a dual-channel ABS system, which makes braking really safe. There is no traction control on either of these motorcycles, but I think once you ride them, you're going to get the feeling that they're engineered so well that they don't really need them. They're so progressive on the throttle. Now, they do get manual throttles. There's no ride-by-wire, but now under the tank, of course, is the 312cc twin cylinder that makes 42 horsepower and 29 Nm of torque, which is a lot. Now it makes the 42 horsepower at 10,250 RPM and goes all the way to 12,000 RPM, and it makes the 29.5 Nm of torque at 9,000 RPM, both of which are high and give you the sense that this engine is best enjoyed in the top revs. We'll get more to that once we're riding it, but that's it in terms of kit. Now a lot depends on the pricing of these motorcycles. As you know, they will come to India as CBUs. So once we get them in India, we'll have a better sense of what they're like. Now you get a 110 section tire up front and a 140 section at the back. They're wrapped in Dunlop. Of course, this is the Thai spec. We will have a small change of tires when they come to India. So once we ride them in India with the tires that they provided in India, we'll give you a better sense. But these Dunlops are super sticky and have a lot of grip. That's enough for us. Let's jump on the motorcycle and see how they are to ride. The first thing you want to talk about from onboard the Yamaha R3 is the rider's triangle. It's got a 795mm seat, which means that it's going to be accessible to everyone. But what stands out to me is how much space there is on the seat, despite the R3 being a visually compact motorcycle. My 6-foot frame easily tucks behind the windscreen in full crouch, and that means most of the wind blast is taken care of.
Thumb the starter and you're greeted by a nice throaty sound of a parallel twin at the limit of its performance. 42 bhp and 29 Nm of torque is what Yamaha has made from its 312cc parallel twin. Peak performance is made high up in the power band, and that means that this motorcycle is best enjoyed above 5000 rpm with a generous helping of the right wrist. Now it is a vibey twin with lots of vibes making its way to the rider from 6000 rpm right up to the 12000 rpm red line, but that is the only drawback. The rest is all manic performance with cat-like agility. Braking from the 296mm disc up front and the 230mm disc at the back is progressive but potent and really inspires one to brake deeper and deeper into the apex and use those trail brakes. Now, if you keep it clean, you're unlikely to feel the intervention of the ABS, but it does come in when the surface gets iffy. Corners, of course, on the R3 and the MT-03 are almost telepathic. You think and make sure you're looking in the right direction and the motorcycle just follows. I may have reached the limits of my cornering abilities multiple times on this ride, but I got the sense that the R3 and the MT-03 both had so much more to give. The Dunlop rubbers are really great and sticky, but it's fairly certain that they will not come as part of the CBU package to India. The MT-03 isn't just based on the R3, it is the same motorcycle but sans fairings and with slightly taller bars. Now this makes for a slightly odd riding triangle with the combination of the rear set foot pegs and the tall handlebars leaving taller riders feeling cramped on long rides. But it does seem to favor people under 5'9". The MT-03 also makes 0.5 extra torque than the R3, and that is something you do feel off the line if you pay close attention. Now we spent the last 3 days in Thailand riding these two motorcycles and really getting a sense for them before they come to India. Now both these two motorcycles are beautifully analog in the sense that there's no traction control, there's no fancy electronics, it's all on the rider, and it leaves a lot of room for skill development and learning. I think this motorcycle makes the perfect sense. Both of these motorcycles actually make perfect sense for a rider who is upgrading from a 150cc 200cc performance entry-level motorcycle into the world of big bikes. Both these motorcycles rev high and they're extremely engaging to ride. Now when it comes to the price is where the problems are going to start for Yamaha, because both these motorcycles will come to India as CBUs, and pricing them aggressively in a market where you have the KTM RC390 and the KTM Duke 390 against this is going to be a little bit tough. But that said, these are both again parallel twins, which is not something we've really seen in the entry-level 400cc space, and that sets them apart until, of course, the Aprilia comes in. That is it for us from Thailand. Thank you so much for watching. This is Didi signing off.